topics, hearts wide open, no judgment, just motion. Real ones talking, no cussing, cause mama don't still watching, no frontin'. Yeah, late nights with Santana. You already knew. Late nights with Santana. Late nights, no static. Yeah, Mama Jones watching, so keep it grown. Ain't about flexing, this a purpose zone. Santana hold it steady when it might get hot, but we ain't here to fight, we here to connect the dots. Mama Jones watching, so keep it grown. Ain't about flexing, this a purpose zone. Santana hold it steady when it might get hot, but we ain't here to fight, we here to connect the dots. Weekly topics, hearts wide open, no judgment, just motion. Real ones are talking, no cussing, cause Mama Jones still watching, no frontin'. Yeah, late nights with Santana. You already knew. Late nights with Santana.
Hello. Welcome in, guys. This is Late Nights with Santana. For all the people who are spamming, bring me up in Trump 2028. This is not a debate. Sorry. David, we don't need that here. This is not a debate. Sorry to disappoint each and every one of you, but this is a panel discussion. It's a panel discussion, and we have the topic of the week, which the topic of the week is abolishing police and prison. Now, this week we're going to talk about a couple of different things. First and foremost, we're going to start with, what is an abolitionist? What is that? What does that entail? What does that look like? And how do we parlay that into successfully attacking these systems that continue to disenfranchise and perpetuate so much harm, right? That's number one. The second thing, what's the profit of the prison? Seems like to me, there's a lot of people making a lot of money. We'll talk about it. Third thing is, police and prison fail. Yes. I know there is a lot of people that believe that there is a need for prison, that prison and police keep us safe. Spoiler alert, they don't. Last but not least, we're going to talk about on day four, we're going to talk about what does it take to actually ensure that we are breaking this down and rebuilding. So with that being said, if you are interested in joining the conversation, go ahead and request up. We are looking to add any and everyone. You do not have to be quote unquote opposition. This guy Shipwreck says scared to debate me. I'm sorry, Bubba. This is not a debate, guys. Let me just make sure that I'm clearly setting parameters, because I know a lot of people have a bit of a hard time switching pace because they see the debates and they think, oh, debate. Listen. I'm being 100% honest, and I'm making sure you guys understand that if you come up here and you are unable to actually engage in the actual premise of the conversation, right? If you are unable to engage in what is necessary to have this conversation, I'm going to kick you. So please be mindful. Now, the next thing that I do want to make sure that I bring up is that I am not doing this alone. No. It is not just me. Yeah, I know. It's not just me. I have a special guest that is going to be a special guest that's going to be helping guide this conversation all this week. And the person that is going to actually help guide this conversation is the person whose brainchild this actually was, someone who brought this to my attention. And I said, you know what? This would be a hell of a topic. And that is the one, the only abolitionist, Al. Hey, Al, how are you?
Hi, Santana. I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. Al. All right. So first and foremost, thank you so much for actually joining the conversation. Thank you so much for being here. I know that this is something that's super passionate. Something that you're super passionate about, something that is near and dear to your heart. So before we go any further, could you tell the people a little bit more about yourself? Tell the people a little bit more about why this is an important conversation, and we'll go from there.
Yeah. So I mean, I've been around kind of debate talk, if you'll call it that, for maybe 5 or 6 years. And this has been my biggest topic of conversation is abolishing police and prisons.
Mhm.
I did get my master's degree in law and justice, kind of focusing on this topic,
Mhm.
because I think there's a big need for understanding the foundation of our system and how it's not necessarily broken because it's just kind of working how it was meant to work, and how no one there's no reparation for harm at this point. So yeah, I mean, I've worked. I lived in Seattle for a while, and I worked there to do what's called what is a solidarity budget. So we worked on defunding the police, but we also worked on kind of rerouting things to make sure that people's material needs were met in the city. And then I've also done quite a bit of work on technologies. So, for instance, like cameras all around, license plate cameras. Those have been a big deal, but any type of way that police have surveillance. So yeah, that's just kind of what I do, and I like to spread the word. I think abolition, especially police and prison abolition, is very scary for some people, but if we can see it from a different perspective, it can be very rewarding. Very helpful.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, Al, can you tell the people? I know I kind of highlighted the topics that we have, but can you give people kind of an overview of what they should expect from this week?
Yeah, so I think it's important to start with an understanding of how police and prisons don't necessarily keep us safe or make us safer. And then also understanding differences between accountability and punishment. So once we understand that police and prisons don't make us safe, people want to know, well, what the hell are we supposed to do? And I think that's about realizing who is harmed, where the harm comes from, and how we prevent that harm from happening rather than reacting to it. So kind of addressing what accountability looks like versus punishment. And then what it means to be an abolitionist, because I think the word abolition, especially in this context, is very scary. And also there's a lot of different ways of defining it. So I think kind of pinning that down is important. And then also talking about where do we go from here? Like what can anybody do to help, the abolitionist movement? And I think talking about moving away from reforms that kind of reshape our current system and looking at what's called non-reformist reforms will kind of be a call to action.
Okay. Listen, that's night 4. They got to wait for that one, Al. We can't give away the actual, the prize just yet, but we're going to get into it. All right. So guys, if you are interested in joining this conversation, go ahead and request up. Anyone can join this conversation. Any and everyone can join this conversation. But if you are not going to join the panel, then please do all the wonderful things. Tap the screen, share the live, send your daily heart me. It's only 1 coin. It will boost the live, push us out to the FYP. I'm going to keep resetting the daily gift goal to these little 1-cent gift goals. And we will, that'll help boost the live. Share the live maybe once or twice. That definitely helps. But more than sharing the live, please make sure that you actually repost the live. That helps so much more. All right, so I'm going to start getting people in here. As I bring you into the panel, please mute yourself, and we will do a quick introduction, and we will get it going. So like I said, please mute yourself, and we will get an introduction and get this thing going. And then let's see here. Sorry. Just an FYI, for the people that are over on YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, Kick, if you want to join the conversation, guess what? You can. You absolutely can. The only thing that you have to do is click that link that's in the pinned message, and you can join the conversation. You don't have to leave where you are. The only thing you have to do is just click that link, and we can get you in here just like, boom, Vash. We got Vash over on YouTube. So let me make sure that I have Vash set up here correctly so we can see Vash, and we will absolutely go from there. 1 second.
Sorry if I sound like I'm on my 8th pack of the day.
No, you're good. You're good. All right, 1 second here. Okay. Boop. Let's grab this. Boop, and we'll put Vash there. Let's fix this really quick. Sorry, guys. Sorry. Let's just fix this so it looks better. And then and then all right, perfect. So Vash, we're gonna put you over there. All right, perfect. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. We're gonna go around the horn and do a quick introduction, and then after the introduction, we will get into the overall conversation. So Al, I'm gonna skip you for now since we did a formal introduction, but I will start with Ari. Hey, Ari, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Santana?
Wonderful. Ari, would you consider yourself to be an abolitionist? And if so, specifically for what?
Yeah, I am an abolitionist. I specifically focus on gender abolition, but I also believe in abolition of prisons.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Noah, how are you?
Doing well. How are you doing?
Good. Noah, would you consider yourself to be an abolitionist? And abolitionist, and if so, for what specifically?
I would. Police and prisons for sure, but also other carceral apparatuses. Like I think the school is a prison. I think that like school as we know it is a prison. I think that psych wards are prisons. So I'm anti-carcerality, period.
Okay. Perfect. Give me a second. Blue Barbie, how are you?
Santana, it is great to be on the panel again. Now, I know the last time I was on here, it didn't go the best because I wasn't prepared for the topic, but I have been reading. As of today to get ready. So I am confident that I'll be able to offer a lot more. And thank you very much for having me on again.
Okay, absolutely. Yeah. Blue Barbie, would you consider yourself to be an abolitionist? And if so, then for what specifically?
Specifically, when it comes to the topic of abolition, I believe I focus more on abolition in terms of I'm sorry if I'm sorry. I'm just really nervous.
Yeah, it's okay.
I'm just really nervous.
It's okay. Take your time.
Specifically, I believe more in so you know how like what is that person saying in the comments? I'm sorry.
No. It's okay. It's okay. Take your time. Just focus on telling us about what you consider yourself to be an abolitionist for. We have mods who will make sure that everything's okay. It's fine. Take your time. It's okay.
I'm so
you're doing
sorry.
You're doing good. You're doing good. Don't worry about it. Don't just focus on us up here. Go ahead.
All right. If you don't mind, I'm gonna clear display to turn off the chat. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Give me a minute.
I'll come back to you. You're fine. Take a second. I'll come right back. Okay.
Yeah. Would you mind coming back to me? I would really like it. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Vash, how are you?
Oh, I'm overcoming retching from yesterday, but other than that, solid.
I understand. Vash, would you consider yourself to be an abolitionist? And if so, for what?
Well, there's one group I'd like to abolish, and that's the Celestial Dragons, but I don't think those are real, unfortunately. Well, you get my point. There's parallels, but in the pure sense of the word abolition, no. I wouldn't say I'm wanting to abolish anything. I like reform. Okay.
Perfect. All right. And last but not least, I'll come back. Bluebell, are you ready, or do you want a few more moments? I'm sorry, not Bluebell. Blue Barbie. Sorry.
Could you give me a sec? I'm so sorry.
No, you're fine. I'll wrap you back into the next topic. It's okay. We're good. All right. So guys, let's get this thing started. A couple of things that I want to remind the people of. First and foremost, for the people on the panel, guys, please, please, please remember, this is a safe and friendly community. What does that mean? That means that we don't deal with any of the isms, racism, sexism, classism. We also don't do any of the phobias, homophobia, transphobia, none of it. We don't play that on the panel nor in the chat. Speaking of the chat, please remember, caps are for mods. Please do not use caps, because if you do, it'll draw my attention away from the panel and to the chat, and we want to be able to have this conversation. Please, please, please be mindful of that. If you are interested in joining the conversation, go ahead and hit that request button, because we will be cycling people in and out. So the conversation is one that everyone can join in. And like I said, if you're over on YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, and you want to join, the only thing that you have to do is click that link in the pinned message, and we'll get you up here. I'm going to keep resetting the daily gift goals to these little 1-cent gift goals. I need you guys to keep knocking those out for me. Right now, it's the little pink heart puffs. That is the gift goal. And keep tapping the screen. Let's get the likes up to 50,000 likes. Now, one other call out. If you would like to support the live, if you like what we do here on late nights and you would like to keep it going and support it, please, please, please consider donating. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, pay links and link tree in the bio. If you're over on YouTube, you can send a YouTube super chat and I'll read it out. Anything is accepted. Everything's appreciated. And now, normally with my co-host, we talk about, well, you know, the pay links and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. But we have Al here, and Al is someone that we're going to do something a little bit different this week for. Al is, Al told people about the move that she made. And Al, would you like to tell people how you would look or like to get support this week instead of just, you know, hitting the pay links?
Yeah, sure. But first, can you tell me if you hear this train? If you hear this train, do you hear it in the background?
No.
No. Okay.
Oh, maybe a little bit, but I like trains, so you're good. Keep going.
Okay. So I recently had to move from Seattle to Texas to be with family, both for financial reasons, and my little nephew was born, my one and only. And with that came the loss of my vehicle, which in Seattle was not a huge deal because I could walk most places. But in Texas, that is a pretty big deal. You can barely walk to a gas station. And so that's really hindered my ability to find work in person. I do a lot online. Is it okay if I mention the other
keep going. You
shop?
got it.
Okay. I have an Etsy shop, which I've run for a few years to get me through grad school. And then I also opened up a second one this weekend with a promo code, the name Santana. That'll get you 10% off. But I also, in my link tree, have a GoFundMe for a vehicle, just something to get kind of back on the road and be able to get to a physical job. Because it's been really difficult to find something, especially in my field, that is remote. So, yeah, if you do wish to support that, that's the best way, and I really appreciate that. Everything is in my link tree.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Perfect. So, guys, we are going to go ahead and get into the conversation. Al, I'm actually coming right back to you. So, choo-choo. Need to hear from you. Al, let's start here. People hear the word abolitionist, and for some people, they just automatically think, oh, you hate this thing so much that you're just going to destroy it. And we're going to they don't understand what it actually means to be an abolitionist. And the reason why I wanted to start off and say, hey, are you specifically an abolitionist for anything, is because there are different initiatives that people consider themselves to be abolitionists for. So I want to go to you first and allow you to set the framework. Can you tell the people, what does it mean to be an abolitionist, and how did you find that passion when it comes to the police and prison system?
Yeah, sorry about the train. That's also part of my move. My home office got moved into a building that is right beside train tracks. So sorry about that. But how I found my passion, I really don't know. I wish I could explain that. People always ask. Usually it's someone that they know has been incarcerated. But it was just something that I found that I thought this needs a lot of attention and no one really seems to care, because we just kind of lock people away and you can't see them. And then it's out of sight, out of mind, or it makes us feel safe. And so my passion just came out of learning about that and learning about all the ways that we could help and that we could change. In terms of what abolition means, I guess what it means to me would probably be the best way to go about it. I think being an abolitionist for police and prisons also includes, as Noah mentioned, abolishing anything that that expands or promotes the carceral state. And so not to go too far too quickly, but that includes capitalism. That includes things that require profit. That includes things that prevent us from meeting people's material needs. So for me, abolition doesn't necessarily mean that we should just disappear police and prisons overnight. It means we should address the reasons why we think we need them in the first place. So, you know, in simple terms, poverty. We need to address people's material conditions. And so that's what abolition means to me. It also means being an abolitionist means recognizing that most people are harmed no matter what side they sit on. And by side, I mean, you know, suspect, defendant, or, you know, victim, survivor. Everyone in the situation is harmed. And so recognizing how restorative and transformative justice is kind of crucial to healing as people and promoting, you know, that in the future.
Okay. Perfect.
Did I cover your question?
You're good. Perfect.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. So coming to Ari, I want to hear about you because you said that you were a gender abolitionist and you highlighted a couple other things, but I would love to know what sparked the desire for you to declare yourself to be a gender abolitionist, and how did you actually get that going? Because I know that there had to be like a lot of pushback when you first broached the idea with other people, because these social constructs that we live in can be people don't understand how it's only real because we construct them to be real, but they think it's real because it's real. How did you get there, and how did you start to push that idea and let people know that you were serious about that?
Okay, so first step, we're going to get this out the way. Nerd, because I'm going to say books.
Nerd.
Yeah, I'm going to say reading and educating myself. And I'm being super serious because I didn't always identify as a gender abolitionist till I started reading on the harms of masculinity. And I believe to what one, Al, I'm so happy to see you on this panel, and Cammed Up, oh, so dope. But two, like to the point I was making about capitalism, I don't think you can have, when we're talking about things that embolden prison systems, I think gender itself and gender performance is what fills up these prisons, right? Masculinity, we know most violent crime is perpetuated by men because of one, performances of dominance. Sexual violence, we know sexual violence is rampant in prisons and things like that. And so when we're looking at capitalism and also performances of masculinity and gender performances, overwhelmingly we can see those represented in the prison populations, and also why they're imprisoned, right? We know like forms of neglect of children, child abuse, things like that. All those are, and how those are committed are also all performed within for reasons of poverty, but also within reasons of gender performance. And so how I came to these conclusions is I recognize, especially when I'm specifically talking about gender, because race is a different conversation. And that's a wholly different conversation. We're talking about addressing white supremacy and racial constructs. But specifically with gender, there is no reason. Literally, you cannot find it. I looked it up. I looked for it, guys. I researched it. And Lord knows how much I researched. There is literally no reason for the gender binary outside of a purpose of oppression. That is literally it. And so because I've come to these conclusions through research and reading and understanding gender performance, the only step forward to one, to get rid of gender dysphoria for everybody, but also stop the gender performance that's harming society, is to abolish it. And that also comes hand in hand again with abolishing prisons.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's super interesting. And I've heard you say that before, and I started to try to dig into that a little bit myself, but it's super interesting how not only has the idea of like the gender roles been weaponized for oppression, but it's been socially acceptable, socially accepted as facts, right? Like, oh, this is how this gender is, and this gender is, and these gender roles and gender. It's super interesting. But let's keep it moving. Noah, coming to you. So you also highlighted the fact that not only are you an abolitionist, but a lot of things that you consider yourself to be an abolitionist for are intertwined, which makes perfect sense to me once I heard you say it. But can you tell me, one, how did you come to the realization as far as like you're passionate about this and you want to stand for being an abolitionist, and how did you connect so many dots? Because again, I didn't even think about it until I just heard you say it, and I was like, that actually kind of makes sense.
Yeah. When I was like a teenager, I had some legal issues. So part of it is just personal experience. I've had like several really unfortunate encounters with like police and the sort of carceral state. Mm-hmm. And so that's really how I got into it. But then in terms of making those connections, I know there's Marxists in here. I see Sean and stuff. So if you're a Marxist, you got to cover your ears for this. But there's a book called Discipline and Punish by Michel Foucault. And he gets into the history of going all the way back from like torture, like public executions, right, to the development of the prison, to the development of prisons. But in this text, he is connecting what he calls like discipline as a technique that unifies the prison, the school, the hospital. And so essentially the same techniques that are used for prisons are the same techniques that are also being used in these other sort of institutions. Mm-hmm. And, I think historicizing prisons was really helpful for me into understanding why reform could never work. Because I don't think people know that reform and prisons are coterminous. Reform, the desire to reform prisons, and the proposals of reform have existed since prisons have existed, and they've been the same, right? And so to me, that shows that clearly, we have hundreds of years of historical record of these like reforms, and they've done nothing to like unsettle the prison industrial complex. I would argue in recent years, like particularly the 80s and the 90s, we saw the expansion of the prison industrial complex, at least, in the United States, right? So, sorry, that was long-winded.
No, that you're spot on. And like, I think that's something super important to highlight. I can't wait to really get into, I don't want to say too much yet, but like, everyone knows the school to prison pipeline. But I think that it's super interesting to me once I started digging more so into like, not only is the idea of like reform not something that is really feasible because it doesn't work, but when I started to learn more about like the way that other countries do their, quote unquote prison system, it's all super interesting. So I want to get to that point as well, but spot on. Perfect. Thank you. All right, Blue Barbie, coming back to you. I want to start by saying, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. All right, Blue Barbie. So let's go here. Would you consider yourself to be an abolitionist? And if so, then for what?
Yes. So specifically what I believe that we need to abolish, and again, I'm still getting educated on this, so definitely feel free to correct me if I'm wrong on any things. I am here to I am here. I'm still educating myself, and obviously, it's gonna be great to for others to be able to educate me as well. So I believe in me and my mom also believes in this as well. I believe that we need to abolish petty drug charges. I believe in the.
Make sure you don't say the specific name of any drugs. But you're.
I won't. I won't
okay.
say. I won't say any. Okay. I won't say any specific drug names.
Okay.
I believe in the. I believe in abolishing petty drug charges. I think that we need to, instead of investing our money into more prison, I think what we need to do is we need to get people help. I believe more in rehab. I believe in help. I believe in people being able to get on the right path. And I have a very specific example of someone who was denied, and it wasn't just due to, it's a very complicated story, but it is the best example as to why we need to abolish petty drug charges. So what I'm going to be talking about, and what I'd like now, well, before I begin, I actually have the sources pulled up in front of me, the sources I've been reading, because I have epilepsy, so I take a ton of medication for it, so it tends to really mess with my memory. So that's why I have the sources pulled up in front of me. I hope you're good, and that's okay.
No, you're perfectly fine. But let's do this, because I want to try to make sure that we keep it concise. So you don't have to cite the sources. It's fine. Tell us about it, and then we can talk about it a little bit more after that. But go ahead.
Sure. Okay. So the person I want to bring up, who I think is a good example as to why petty drug charges need to be abolished, is a singer by the name of Billie Holiday. I'm not sure if you or anyone in the chat is familiar with her.
Billie Holiday, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Billie Holiday. Now, since you are, but in case anyone else, whether it's anyone on this panel or anyone in the chat, is not familiar, Billie Holiday was an incredibly famous jazz singer. She was known. She's basically like the OG, as you know, young people say, the original god or goddess of jazz music, specifically crooner music. Crooner is a style of jazz that has been popularized by Billie Holiday, Ella Fitzgerald, Frank Sinatra, and many others. Nat King Cole is a good example. And Billie Holiday was started, and in the late 30s, when Billie Holiday rose to popularity, it was also during the time when Black people were being lynched or hung in the South, specifically by either white people or specifically by white people or by groups such as the KKK. And during that time, Billie Holiday was going to perform a protest song by the name of Strange Fruit, which is originally a poem, which was started as
we just want to make sure that and I'm sure people know what strange fruit is, but I just want to, that's another word, the actual word that it represents. We want to make sure we don't say that word, but yeah, strange fruit. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I definitely don't plan on saying that word. No, okay. No. Billie Holiday, that song was originally a poem in 1939, which Billie Holiday made famous. And she was planning for a very long time to perform that song to protest and expose the truth about the torture of Black people in the South. And there was an incredibly racist cop who I believe can't really remember the name, but he's like the head of like the drug in that time. This happened in New York. And he was a white supremacist, and he and the police force wanted to go after and successfully went after Billie Holiday for her drug chart for heroin.
Okay. I gotta drop you.
Shit, I'm so sorry.
No, you're fine. We'll give you a few minutes. Guys, if you don't mind, tap the screen, share the live. I'm gonna keep resetting the daily gift goal to the little 1 cent gift goals. If you guys don't mind, please knock out those gift goals. Also, I haven't had dinner yet, and I'm actually really hungry. I don't know what I'm gonna have. What are you guys having for dinner? Can I get some dinner recommendations in the chat? Is that possible? Can you guys let me know? You know, hey, what are you guys having? Beef. It's what's for dinner. Not Ari saying ice cream. Jimmy John's. I like Jimmy John's. Spaghetti is awesome. Cheesy bread, pizza, salad. Pizza can't go wrong. I forgot to bring my gummy worms, sushis, tamales, whatever, dude. Wings, chicken Alfredo. Okay. Listen, you guys are cooking for real. All right. Blue Barbie, if you want to hop back up in the request, I'll get you back up in here in just a few moments. I just want to make sure that we are all good, G to G. And while we have a quick break, I want to say, Debbie's in the chat for Deanna. Deanna sent a $25 donation, Sam, from a nurse who had to work with the prison system for many years and has seen behind the scenes. I'm excited to listen to your perspective. I'm excited that we have the opportunity to talk about this. Debbie's in the chat. Thank you so much for that $25 donation. Debbie's in the chat for Blue Bonnet, who sent a $10 super chat to say, I remember back in the day when I was back in the days when school to prison pipeline. I remember back in the days was the school to prison pipeline. I didn't understand it clearly back then, but it made sense a bit. Thank you for all that you do and sharing the knowledge. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Blue Bonnet. Guys, if anyone else likes to support the live, you can do so. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo. Pay links in the link tree in the bio. Santana Speaks for You. Santana Speaks for You is the best way to support the live. If you are over on YouTube, you can send a super chat. I will read that out. Also, please, guys, please make sure that we're taking care of Al. Abolitionist Al is here, and she's helping guide this conversation for the entire week. So please, not only show Al some love, not only hit that follow button for Al, but if you take a look at the poll, we will continue to have the poll running. Please make sure that we are going to Al's GoFundMe and showing Al some love. Al is actually trying to get this initiative to get a new vehicle after moving. It's necessary in the South. I know this for a fact because I moved from the South to Washington State, and I know the difference. So please take a few moments to show Al some love. Anything that you can do would be absolutely amazing. All right, Vash, I want to come to you. Vash, understanding that you have an understanding of abolition or being an abolitionist, and you said that more so you don't have anything specific. And I think that it's super interesting that even without having a specific point of view, that it's something that resonates with you, because you talked about like kind of parroting some of the things that Al, Ari, and Noah said. So my question for you is, what piqued your interest as far as wanting to not only learn more about becoming an abolitionist, but why is it something that you would even want to engage in?
Oh, because I hate the cops. I mean, that's the first priority.
Yeah.
But also because, like, I mean, not even counting how jail needs to be fixed, but like prisons especially so. And I feel like there needs to be some kind of change.
Yeah, I think so too. Which I think is not only that there needs to be some type of change, but I think people need to really understand what that is, because there's a false narrative that prisons are about reform. And
oh God, no.
Yeah. I don't know why people believe that prisons is about reform, and actually specifically Al, coming to you. People say prisons are about reform, but I want to know, what's the profit of prisons? Is it profit?
So this is, I think, an interesting topic, because a lot of people, when we talk about the way that prisons profit off of incarcerating people, a lot of people think that's what kind of drives mass incarceration. But I think it's important to recognize up front that it's kind of the opposite. So when we talk about people who are incarcerated working for, we'll call it what it is. It's slave labor.
Yep.
And it is slavery. When we talk about that, a lot of the times we think in our minds that private prisons are kind of driving this, and that they profit the most because they're kind of putting out work to corporations or contracting work with corporations or our military. But what we're really doing is we're really just keeping prisons running. So the majority of work that incarcerated people do, either for very low amounts or for free, is to run the prison. So like cleaning or doing like kitchen work or maintenance work, things like that. And a lot of times those don't transfer into any type of like certification or anything that they can take once they leave being incarcerated. And so it's just kind of perpetuating itself and letting the government get away with a lot of slavery.
Yeah.
Literally.
Well, so Al, can you, and I know you know this, but I think it's super important for people to understand this point, because a lot of people may think that you are being kind of hyperbolous by saying slavery, but we literally mean slavery. Can you tell the people why it is actual slavery?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you're hinting at the 13th Amendment, but I think that's the first, that's the first most obvious, is that that it's still permitted in our Constitution. So if deemed as a punishment for a crime, then slavery is legal, which I think when you say it aloud really should be kind of jarring for everyone. But yeah, so that's it. Even if they are being paid a wage, it's still coercion, and it's still a lot of times we don't think about it's like, for instance, it's not just the fact that they're being paid pennies on the dollar to do labor. It's also that that labor affords them what they would consider a privilege. So leaving a general space and being able to go into the kitchen and work with other people, or being able to afford like one phone, and I'm not even being hyperbolic, but like one phone call a month, because they have to pay for phone calls or video chats. So it's coercion, and it's slavery, and it's legal.
Yeah,
according to our Constitution.
Absolutely, absolutely. Ari, coming back to you, because the idea that I think a lot of people get caught up with the idea of thinking like prison is either reform or punishment or things along those lines, but they have a hard time making a connection of the capitalistic mindset, and not just in the sense of like, oh, free slave labor, but people actually invest big money in prisons, right? And not just the private prison system, but the prison system as a whole. One thing that, I do the politics and the debates and stuff, but one thing that I talk about a lot is how this current administration has weaponized the prison system when it comes to immigration and feeding undocumented immigrants into the prison system. And even I like to call out Core Civic, which had an investors call talking about like this is the golden age for them because of how much they are able to profit off of this overall, people being incarcerated. But Ari, I guess the question I have for you is help me understand, why is capitalism something that's structured to allow this type of system to exist while hiding it behind the premise of like punishment or reform, when it's all about making money and self-sustaining?
When we're looking at the foundations of capitalism, especially in the United States, we're literally looking at the foundations of racism, right? And this is why I giggle when people say like reform a structure. Are you trying to get a hot dog machine not to make a hot dog? Like what? This is a system of white supremacy, right? And when we're looking at the foundations of capitalism, which was literally born out of slavery, right? The transatlantic slave trade and the exploitation the use of a race structure and creating the race structure for the exploitation of a free and cheap labor force, right? That structure has not changed, not one bit, right? It just has a different book cover. I love my book references. But it's still the same structure foundationally, right? And so when we're talking about, we're making comparisons at the beginning of the United States with chattel slavery and slave catchers, right? When slaves used to run away. And then we're looking at the police force now. That's literally all police are, is they're slave catchers. And it's very fair to say that also ICE are slave catchers with this free and cheap labor force. They're doing the same thing. They are disproportionately targeting people, justifying it through language, saying, hey, with child slavery is these people need salvation from God. These are lustful deviants, right? And they need help. They need us to civilize them. And thus they got their justification for the enslavement of people on the continent of Africa. During the United States, when we had Jim Crow and we had vagrancy laws and we had convict leasing, it was literally setting up laws intentionally targeting Black people, right? That they knew Black people would have been disenfranchised and would have to and would be caught through these laws, right? And we're seeing the same thing now with laws, even though, like, let's not play ourselves. Just because a law doesn't say, hey, let's go get brown and Black people, they are targeted towards brown and Black people, specifically disenfranchising them for furthering that free and cheap labor force for that exploitation, right? And so the system has not changed now. It just has a different book cover. And you're asking a hot dog machine, when people say reform, to not make hot dogs. It's been doing the same thing from the get-go, from 250 years ago, the beginning of the United States, and actually further than that.
Okay. Listen, you cooked with the hot dog reference and with the points that you just drove home. Noah, I kind of want to challenge you on something, and it's really more so stemmed on by what Ari just said. And Noah, I don't think that there's any way to actually go about properly abolishing the prison system, the police, or gender, or race, or any of those things, if you're not also looking to abolish capitalism, but looking to do all of them at the same time. Again, listening to you speak and thinking about how everything is so intertwined, I don't think there's a way where we could target one without targeting the other, but then I worry about doing too much at one time. No, am I tripping? Are they codependent? Like, how do we do that? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think these things are interdependent, right? Because y'all talking about like the profit that is generated in prisons, right, which we know is an incentive for their existence. Like the abolition of capitalism would entail the abolition of the profit motive. But I think the other thing too, Al was talking about this earlier. In my understanding of abolition, like specifically police and prison abolition, and it's not just like we dismantle the police, we burn all the prisons down, and then we're done with it, right? It's about developing systems, eradicating poverty, eradicating and attending to the conditions that make prisons necessary. Mm-hmm. And also, I really appreciate what Ari said about the hot dog thing, right? Because the problems that folks identify with prisons, and especially the ones who talk about prison reform, these aren't like unintentional, issues that arise out of prisons. They are like a necessary feature of them to sustain themselves. Because if we think about like what would be the ideal reform, what would be the perfect prison? The perfect prison would be one that makes itself obsolete. Right? Like the perfect prison would be one that doesn't need to exist, because a perfect prison would completely deter crime. That's the belief of the people who go up for prisons and police, right? Because we know that they don't stop crime. They're reactive to crime. They attend to crime after it happens, and their supposed goal is deterrence. But clearly they don't do that. Like, police seek to reproduce a delinquent class. like when we see stuff like recidivism, that is very much intentional. That is a sign that prisons are working as they are intended to work, because they are producing, expanding, and multiplying a delinquent class. And when I say that, I mean people who are deemed to have a propensity for crime. And so this is intertwined with the project of race, particularly Blackness, right? Like the attribution or ascription of criminality to Blackness. It's all about how do we, ensure that we have this delinquent class that we can maintain in perpetuity to extract the most surplus value from.
Wow. Yeah, I agree. And I think the fact that it's I think you just proved the point that I was making. Like all of them have to be dealt with at the same time, and not only does all of them have to be dealt with at the same time, like it stands on the back of capitalism, but they're so connected. Like we have to address all of them. Okay. Vash, coming back to you. Understanding.
Santana, sorry. Before we go forward, can I just throw some resources out there? Okay. A lot of people in the comments mentioned it when Noah said it, but Are Prisons Obsolete by Angela Davis. Great text. There's actually a PDF of it in my link tree that you can access if you cannot purchase it. So that's there. And then also I just added it to my link tree. It's the first link, and it's called the Worth Rises database. And it basically has every corporation that profits from incarceration in the United States. And it any kind of profit, and it has a harm score associated with it. It's an incredible database. And actually shout out to Jeff. When I introduced it to Jeff got with them, and he is now working with them to help them kind of streamline and automate their data. So I also have Jeff's link to End of Species in my link tree, because we've kind of worked together on that. So I just wanted to throw those resources out there because they're really, really great resources on this topic. Okay.
Absolutely. And also, Al, you are the co-host, so at any time you can hop in and whatever you need. FYI, just in case you didn't know. Vash, coming back to you. I think the most interesting thing when I think about the profit, and while we can talk about the investments that people make into prison systems and how that actually ends up being something that a lot of people make a lot of money for. And then we talk about the aspect of like free slave labor, right? But then I start to think about like the idea of prison, right? And I say idea because it's not necessary. It's not what happens, but the idea of prison is supposed to be reform, right? They're supposed to go into prison, do your time, reform, and be reintegrated into society. And there's a lot of prisons that you can actually get certain job skills for. The one that always I find the most interesting is the firefighters that are in California, and the fact that the firefighters in California, while actually doing this job, if they come out of
I know where
prison
this is
and they
going.
have,
It's so messed up.
yeah, if they have a felony, then they're unable to actually be a firefighter once they get out. Even though they've learned this amazing skill, they can't parlay that skill into reintegrating into society. So Vash, I guess my question for you is, why is there an actual ability for so many outside forces to profit off of the prison system? But then when you talk about the people that are thrown into the prison system, they're never giving an opportunity to not only reform, but never actually make profit, whether it's in or out of the system.
Because it's made to feed off them, obviously. Like, it's a really messed up system. And I like, as much as I love capitalism, I love the way I get money. I know it's wrong in many ways. And we never punch down on poor people. That's my point. You should never take from the people who actually need what they need. And especially with slave labor, because last time I checked, the Constitution shouldn't just say, yeah, let's get rid of slavery, except for if they really deserve it, just screw them specifically. Ugh.
Yeah,
Can I
absolutely.
ask a question?
And I was just about to go back to you. Go ahead, Al.
Sorry. No, I think I'm curious, Bash. Well, first of all, someone mentioned this in the comments earlier. I'm not sure how you can be for reform when you're a huge One Piece fan, but we can talk about that later.
Dang it, you're right.
Yeah.
Hold on, because One Piece slander will get you dropped, no matter who you are.
I'm not slandering One Piece. I'm saying I don't know how Vash can be a One Piece fan but be for reform and not abolition.
Oh, okay. Hold on. I heard One Piece and I blacked out for a second. I heard you say One Piece. I thought it was slender and I blacked out. My bad. I apologize.
In my defense, I didn't know
pro
reform was like the wrong word these days.
Yeah, well, I think that was what my question was actually going to be, was when you mention that you shouldn't punch down on poor people, for instance, how do you think we could reform our current system to not punch down on poor people? Like how do you see that happening?
Can I answer N/A because I don't know? I honestly
I think
don't have an idea, and I wish there was a perfect idea, and like we all wish we could take bits and pieces out like a Jenga tower, but that's never going to happen.
Well, I think you not knowing is kind of the point that we were kind of making here. Like when we mention, capitalism and meeting people's material needs, obviously that hints at poverty and people who are poor. And so I think it's important to recognize that reform won't work because it's just going to reshape our current system.
Ow.
Oh, I'm going too fast.
Night 4.
Sorry. I think that's just the point,
you're skipping to the One Piece. We're still on Egghead.
I know. I get so excited. But yeah, I think that's the point, right? Is that like you're saying don't punch down on poor people, but that's literally what this was designed to do. For people that we've
realizing
made
that from hearing.
Mm-hmm. But and I think that's using the word reform has that, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, I was using it more in like the well, I guess not even the literal sense will make sense anymore, but you get my point. I want change in general, and I don't care how it happened. Well, I don't want there to be a Blumhouse Purge movie over it, but you get my point.
Yeah, and I think the one thing that I do want to say is that the only reason I cut Al off just now is because it's something that she and I talked about, and I know for a fact. Yeah, I'll just hold it. I'll hold it.
Don't let the magic slip.
No. But what I do want to kind of open it up a little bit more, because Al, I would love to hear your thoughts on that. And going back up the panel as well, as far as the point where the prison system, there's so much. I'm a huge sports fan, and the best way that I can kind of equate this is college sports, specifically college football, right? When you think about college football, for the longest, with college football, you had the college football athletes that came in and they were supposed to be there for education, and they made billions of dollars for these college programs. They helped fund the other sports at the college, and they did all this other stuff while never being able to actually make money off of their names, right? They had this whole there was this rule with the NCAA where like you could give a college athlete a bagel, but if you gave a college athlete a bagel with cream cheese, then it was a rule violation, right? And it reminded me of that because a lot of the athletes that would go into college and they would play college football, they wouldn't make it to the pros, either one, because they weren't good enough, or two, one of my favorite players in college was Marshawn Lattimore, who was a running back. He was from Rock Hill, South Carolina. He played for the University of South Carolina. He was an amazing running back, but he tore his ACL, right? And so he put so much in it, and so many people in and around the entire program, college football and everything, made so much money off of him But then once he finished up with college football and his ACL was gone, he couldn't apply that skill to the highest level anymore. And so again, I guess, Al, why is it that, like, even if they're with the way that this is set up, and we understand that profit is the motivation, but why is it, if it was any type of actual reform, wouldn't they want these people to be able to parlay these skills to something outside once they're back into society?
Yeah. First of all, I appreciate the college football reference. I don't think I told you this, but I am from North Carolina, so
Hey.
you know we love our colleges down there. But yeah, I think this is another part of it being prison being touted as like rehabilitation. And I hate to go. This is just. I think that the real answer is, for capitalism to succeed, we need a lower class, and prisons do that. So, I mean, so do police, but prisons help keep a lower class. So I think it's just that they don't want people to succeed. They want to keep people in that lower class if they can, because ultimately they can profit off of them. Ultimately, that means that there can a high class can remain. And so I think that's really just it. They don't want you to be rehabilitated, because in reality, can you be rehabilitated? Are you going to be rehabilitated back to poverty? Like, you can't restore something that wasn't there. So
yeah. I completely agree. Debbie's in the chat for One Mighty Pen, who used their 3-month YouTube membership subscription to say, if prison was meant to reform, why is the recidivism rate so high? Just something to think about. Facts. Debbie's in the chat for One Mighty Pen. Guys, if anyone else would like to support the live, you can do so. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, pay links and links are in the bio. Santana speaks for you. If you're over on YouTube, you can send a super chat. I will read that out. But guys, please make sure we're taking care of Al, because Al is giving her time, energy, and effort with us here this week. And we want to show Al all the love. So please make sure we're gifting Al. Please make sure we're following Al, and make sure we're checking out the poll that we have going. If you take a look, we have Al's GoFundMe, which they are trying to get a new vehicle after relocating. It would be amazing if you guys can chip in, and please help out. But please make sure we are showing Al some love. Really quick, Ari, Noah, either one of you want to add anything to that point as far as the premise, as far with people who are a part of the system not being able to parlay their skills, but everyone else around them is making money off of them?
Yeah. Overall, for capitalism to exist, period, a poverty class is necessary. Like, it's literally a necessary condition. So there is no incentive to abolish the structure because they're profiting off of it. And again, it's just a repetition of the same structure it was built foundationally on, which is slavery.
Noah?
Ditto.
No, actually said vote harder.
Look, if we want to end prisons, it starts at midterms. Okay, Santana? So lock in. Lock in.
I'm going to drop you. All right. Sorry. You guys got me mid-chew. I thought Noah was going to have something to say instead of just being a poopy hole and just saying ditto. All right. Blue Barbie, welcome back. Coming back to you.
Hello. So as I was saying, I'm gonna say H drug from now on. H drug. I hope that helps. So as I was saying, were you gonna say something before I continue?
Yeah, actually, I kind of wanted to keep it where we are and kind of flow into that a little bit more. And if we have time, we'll come back to the story. But I did want to know from you, what are your thoughts on the fact that the prison system is built and connected for profit? The fact that so many people invest into the prison system, and it's not just the private prison system, but the prison system as a whole. And it's something where, heck, you can even, it's traded on the stock exchange. What are your thoughts around that?
I think now, again, I'm still getting educated on these things. So if there's anything else that you need to tell me, or if I need to do research myself, you can, of course, let me know. Anyone on the panel or chat can let me know. But I don't like the prison system. I think that the prison system is extremely bad. Like I think that there's just so much horrible things that go on in prison. Specifically, I'd like to mention, I'm sure that you've probably heard this term before. It's drop the soap. It's a term that is used in.
I don't think we want to go there.
I'm sorry. It's just it's the best.
Mama Jones is watching, so we don't necessarily want to.
I'm sorry. It's just I won't mention why. I'm sure everyone here already knows, but it's a great example of just how much heinous shit goes on in prison.
Oh, language. Yep. I agree. There's a lot of bad stuff that goes on in the prison. All right. Perfect.
I'm so sorry to Mama Jones.
No, you're good. All right. I want to come around the panel with one other thing, and then we're going to start rotating people in and out. So if you are interested in joining the conversation, go ahead and request up. We're going to get more people in. If you want to join this conversation, again, this is Late Nights with Santana. This is a panel discussion where anyone can join the conversation. So go ahead and hit that request button. If you're over on YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, and you'd like to join the conversation, the only thing you have to do is click that link that's in the pinned message. You do not have to leave where you are. I kind of want to go back, Al, and listen. Police, right? The police are supposed to be the good guys. The police are supposed to catch the bad guys. And when the police catch the bad guys, they throw the bad guys in jail. And since the police caught the bad guys and they're the good guys, and now the bad guys are off the streets and the police are patrolling the streets, we're safe. But Al, are we? Does the police and the prisons really make us safe?
No. And I do kind of want to circle back to police because that's my favorite part. People kind of understand usually like why prisons are bad. But how could police be bad? Because they, serve and protect and whatever else. But I think I always start these conversations by explaining that intention doesn't matter. So a police officer's personal intention does not matter. I have no doubt that lots of people join the force because they want to help their communities. The problem is their job requires them to oppress. This is just the bottom line. They are required to oppress poor people, marginalized people. Obviously, that's their job. So they're not out here fighting crime. They're responding to things that happen. They're rarely deterring crime. They're usually just pushing it out, to different areas. They're just kind of out here being bullies. So.
Okay. Ari, the police are well-intended citizens, right? I mean, like they're the good guys, right? The good guys with the badges. Am I wrong?
They have such a heartwarming statistic. Around 40% of them doing sexual violence or domestic violence onto their partners. So heartwarming, isn't it? Yeah, no, absolutely not. Especially, and this is why, like when we're talking about gender abolition, it goes hand in hand with abolition of prisons, right? They're literally like a huge arbiter of gender-based violence, right? They're not only perpetuating it, but they're allowing it to exist, right? If you look at the prevalence of one, again, sexual violence that happens in the prison system because of lack of the absence of women, right, in men's prisons, they just start assaulting each other in terms of gender performance and domination, but also like, again, the way they treat victims of sexual violence, representing people, children, as if they are the perpetrators of sexual violence for being victims of sexual violence, right? And how we have so many sexual, can I say the R word on here? I don't know how much I use, but like, let's just call it a spade. It's a rape kit, right? How many rape kits don't get taken seriously, looked at, and are just left sitting because they just don't care. right? When we're talking about that people, representing people and non-men don't feel comfortable even calling the police because of the dismissal of those harms. There's also a very heartwarming statistic that only 26% of reported sexual violence, right, actually leads to a clearance, right? The clearance rates. And for those who don't know, clearance doesn't mean what you think it means, right? Clearance doesn't necessarily mean the crime's been solved. It also means that they're like, oh, just not enough evidence, I'm going to close the case, right? A lot of times it's just them closing the case and it actually solves shit, right? So who are you protecting? Because you're absolutely not protecting women. On top of that, you're most likely harming them, right? We also know how much police officers harm sex workers and things like that, and abuse sex workers and other femme-presenting people when on the job. So, no, they're the biggest perpetuators and allowance of patriarchal violence.
Yeah. I think it's interesting that a lot of people, for some reason, think that the police are the ones that actually are the good guys, right? And they're the ones that are somehow going about the point of like fighting crime and actually doing all of these wonderful things, right? And I think that a lot of people have missed the not only the inception of the police and what the police have done and the harm that has been caused, even when it comes to like calling the police, right? So I guess, Noah, coming to you, right? Noah, do you know who John Kennedy is?
I think I've heard of him.
Okay. John Kennedy is a Republican senator from Louisiana, right? And John Kennedy has a very famous quote, which goes,
I opposed defunding the police. Look, if you hate cops just because they're cops, the next time you get in trouble, call a crackhead.
So, Noah, I'm just wondering, right? A lot of people have the idea that, oh, if we don't have cops, then, you know, if we defund the cops, then who's going to fight the crime and get the bad guys? Noah, what do you say to that? Because I saw someone in the comments say, like, what's the alternative? Because apparently the police are the good guys.
I would feel safer with the alternative he proposed in that clip. Not gonna hold you. Like, that sounds better. Yeah, I mean, I think, again, like we talked about in terms of attending to, you know, the material conditions that produce a lot of these crimes, that's a huge part of it. But I also think, like, we have things like social workers and different sort of like roles that I think can be like diversified, where like cops are expected to kind of serve all of them all at once, even though they're like not trained to do so. Mm-hmm. Like, that's a huge issue I have, not gonna lie. Like, I don't know what it's called in other states, but it's called like a 5150 out here. Mm-hmm. But if that happens to you, right, you're going to get escorted by police. Like, it's not just like a social worker that's going to come. Like, you're going to be interrogated by the police as well. And they're notorious for escalating things and for, you know, exacerbating already existing harm. You know what I'm saying? I think people just don't understand what the function of police are. Like, anybody who believes in like the goodness or the need for police don't understand what they're intended for. Because we could talk about, like, you know, where they emerged like out of being slave catchers, but like contemporarily they're an apparatus of the state that seeks to protect private property and white supremacy. That is their function. It's not to stop crime. It's not to deter crime. Its two functions are protecting private property and upholding white supremacy.
Yeah, I completely agree. And that's why I think it's so laughable when people often say like, oh, what's the alternative? And like, if we're going to be real, especially for Black people, pretty much any alternative is a better alternative than calling the police, right? I can't remember the last time as a black man, even as a young black boy, I saw a police officer and I felt any level of comfort or safety, like at all. So I think their whole premise behind they make you feel safe. I think that's just not true. Blue Barbie, I want to come back to you for a second. When it comes to the police and making people safe, do you think that's actually a thing, or what are your thoughts around like needing the police to be safe?
I think that there are way more. I believe that there are way more dangerous police officers and way more police that have done harm rather than good. And like my mom says, it doesn't have to be over here, over there. That we don't. But I believe that with not in terms of like police, but she says that. So what I was going to say was, I believe that there are more dangerous police officers than good ones because if you look up in the media, what do you think we've seen more of when it comes to the police? Have we seen articles about this police officer is a hero? This police officer does this. No. We see more police officers that put marginalized communities in danger. We have seen more police officers that have done heinous things. Like, for example, the best example is what happened with George Floyd. Like that police officer put his knee on his neck. And like, we see so many other examples in videos of police officers abusing people and detaining and arresting people for completely nonsensical reasons because of their race.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Blue Barbie. Okay.
No problem.
So Vash, I was gonna come to you, but we have Sean up here, and I was gonna wait to introduce Sean, but there is something that just like someone just put in the chat. And first and foremost, Sean, how are you?
Hey, how are you?
Good. Sean, can you tell the people, are you an abolitionist? And if so, for what?
I'm an abolitionist for a multitude of things, but especially for police and prisons. You mean for what as in why I'm an abolitionist for police and prisons?
No, you said it, police and prisons. So
okay.
Yeah. I was gonna, that was earlier, like there's something else we're gonna go to now. Okay, Sean. So I was gonna wrap you into the conversation and blah, 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 blah. But I just saw a comment, and I would actually like to just have you give me a little bit of feedback on the comment, because so far I've been watching the chat, and there has been a couple of different people that have kind of responded in a multitude of ways. And I'm just trying to understand why this is a response for some people. Second here, dude. Make it bigger. That's what she said. Sean. So this person just commented in here and said, I swear this is rage bait. Laughy, and then a peace out. Sean, why is it that when it comes to the premise as far as like abolishing police and prison, that people have such an emotional response and an emotional connection to it, where some people are unwilling to even engage in the conversation because it's like you talked about the mama. It's like you insulted their God, or like it solicits that type of response. But why?
It is mostly because of the propaganda that is built around these institutions. When it comes to propaganda, and the way the propaganda works is that we're constantly in a propaganda war. So one of the big things that the Imperial Court does in order to get people to understand and justify to the people their monopoly on violence is they evoke emotional responses. and they tell people things from the time where they're young till they're older. And so this information, like the human brain is more receptive to things that are repeated over and over and over and over again. Like repetition is like a huge thing, especially when it comes to propaganda. That's saying that if you say something enough times, it makes it true. It doesn't literally mean that it makes a statement true. It just makes it so that the statement is seen as true by other humans. And for people who have been told police are the good guys, police do good things, and they put out propaganda and copaganda, things like Law and Order, which is one of the longest running shows in history and has the most episodes out of just about any show, and make it. Or Zootopia. Yeah, exactly. Children's shows that make
Sean loves Zootopia.
That makes police and prisons, that makes police and prisons look like a good thing and make police look like they are solving crime and doing things like that. It is extremely effective in brainwashing people into believing that these statements that police are true, police are good, prisons are good, police protect people, they're built to protect and serve. And it's just one of those tactics. So when they see something like this, where it advocates for something opposing that, they have an emotional response. Susan Collins, if y'all know Susan Collins, I talk about her all the time. She wrote The Hunger Games. She just wrote a book.
I thought you was talking about the politician.
There's a Susan Collins in politics?
Yeah.
Who's that? Where's she at?
Susan Collins, she in Maine?
Susan Collins in Maine. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think Susan Collins in Maine, and never mind politics. And anyway, go ahead. Sorry, I'm trying to crop.
No, you did. So Susan Collins wrote a book. I'm gonna land it right here. Her latest book was Sunrise on the Reaping, and she has one of her main characters, Plutarch Heavensby, tell the tribute something, and he says that you want to try and evoke emotional responses. Remember, the public opinion is built on emotional responses. People have an emotional reaction to something, and then they come up with reasons for why it rationally makes sense.
I think that that really exemplifies like what we're dealing with here, and not just in the sense of this topic, but in a lot of different things. I mean, a lot of different topics that we've had these conversations around, it seems like it's really hard for people to engage with because it's so personal. And I've always I've never really understood that because, I live by the premise of, love your family, love your life. But when it comes to politics, don't love your politician. And certain people make these things like such an actual identity for them. Best example I have for that is the Back the Blue, right? Back the Blue. People they run around, they got the blue stripes on everything, and they back the blue. They got the bumper stickers, and listen, I'm from the South, from South Carolina. I remember, I know there was this one guy that worked for me, a white guy. He was a Republican. He was white. He was older. And every time he saw a police officer, he would walk up to him and shake his hand and say, "Thank you for your service." Every single time. And I'm like, what? Vash?
I'm a cut in. That sounds so cringy.
Yeah, it was. But he would always say, "Thank you for your service." Every single time. He would light up like a little kid. And this was a grown man. He was, at the time, he was like in his late 40s. Every single time he would light up and walk up and say, "Thank you for your service." But Vash, I think the interesting thing for me is when you talk about the way that certain people do have that emotional connection, that emotional response when it comes to like the police and, the quote unquote law and justice. I think you see a disconnect when it comes across races specifically, right? And it's not just because, black people don't like the cops and da 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 da. I think it's the two sides to the coin where a lot of people end up, a lot of white people end up getting the short end of the stick when it comes to police interactions and, you know, the criminal justice system, where at times white people can get favorable responses and favorable sentencing. How do you think that's actually set up as far as, I guess, trying to fuck it out. Assume,
I
sorry.
can't hear
I'll
you
just
right
leave
now.
it. Is that on purpose? Is it purposely done that way?
I cannot hear you.
You can't hear me?
Yeah, you cut out there for like the last 5 seconds.
I hesitated because I didn't want to lead too much, but I'll just throw it out there. Do you think that's purposeful? That there's such a positive disposition shown towards you know, certain races when it comes to the police and the justice system, and then a negative disposition towards other races and people?
Call it a gut feeling, but yeah, like given how much more non-white people are arrested and convicted, and oh yeah, I was also going to mention that cops literally create fake crimes with sting operations, like all of the different ones that there are. They're creating the crime too. And also, but back to the other point. Yes, they are, because I don't know. I guess they just find it easier for people to be existing while black as a crime for some terrible reason.
Yeah. I agree with that, and I think that it really speaks to the lack of. It speaks to the system as a whole, and how upholding the system is necessary to get the majority group buy-in, right? At least I think that if the way that the police and the prison system, if it affected white people the same way it affected non-white people, I think there would be more proclivity towards change than there is now. Al, am I off base with that? What do you think?
What was your question? If white people,
the majority group in this country experience the same negative interactions, whether it be the police or the prison system, would there be more of an appetite to completely change things because of how they're impacted? Or do you think that it would still exist the way it is with them being affected? Kind of like my mindset that I have, well, like if men had babies, then abortions would be available to everyone.
If men had period cramps, dude.
Right. And so that's my thought process. So you know, Al, am I tripping?
No, I think that makes sense. But I am hesitant to say that is probably what would happen. And the reason why is because the way that the propaganda has worked, and the way that we've learned to think about people who are arrested or incarcerated or punished or whatever, is that they individualism, basically. They did something wrong and they have to be punished for it. And that's just the way that things are, because they made a decision. And so even if, you know, your brother, you know, if we're talking about this, you know, this majority group, right? Even if your brother does something wrong and is incarcerated, it's because they made a mistake, and they have to just learn their lesson. And so I don't think, I think they would still justify the position of the police, and I think they would still justify the position of prisons, because of individualism, honestly.
Can I add to that real quick? Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. I was just going to say, which I think obviously individualism is a very Western thing, and it's also a very white thing. A lot of other cultures, you know, don't participate in individualism the way that we do. So, yeah.
Okay. Ari, you wanted to add to that, and also Blue Barbie, Vash, thank you to. I'm gonna swap you two out, but thank you both for coming up and participating with us this evening.
Before I go,
hold on.
One second, Blue Barbie. Go ahead, Vash.
It's pronounced people.
Yes. I saw your message.
Okay. Yeah. I only know this from playing Tales of Symphonia through one time. Somehow you get to fight the Pope. It's crazy. Cool game. Everyone should play it.
All right. Well, I appreciate you.
Peace out.
Blue Barbie, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, two quick things. One, so I work in a so I wanted to ask this question, and I'm not asking this because I want like some like pats on the back or anything. It's something that I ask. So I work in a transition program for students for graduation students with disabilities because I have autism, and I ask this question every day after to my job coaches after every job. So I'm gonna put it and so in this case, so I'm gonna ask you this question, the people in the panel, to the people in the chat. How do you think I did?
I think you did good. I think that coming up on a live and speaking in front of people is nerve-wracking, and I think that unless you do it often, it can be kind of stressful. I think that it's something that if you enjoy doing, you just got to practice more and get more of opportunity to do it. But overall, I think that you did a good job.
Thank you so much. And then number two, I've loved watching your content. I love your community. You've definitely helped me on my path to educating myself more. I've been way more motivated. And not because I want like pats on the back or anything, but because it's just because of my own personal values of wanting to get educated more. So thank you so much for that. Love you, Santana. Love your community. Have a amazing night.
Thank you, and you as well.
If I can make a recommendation is it Blue Barbie? I can't see the whole thing.
Blue Barbie. I think I was saying Blue Bell because thinking about the ice cream. Holy smokes, Blue Barbie.
You want ice cream? Yeah.
No, I don't. I'm bad with names.
My Substack is in my link tree. It's free, and it has a lot of the resources we've talked about today and reading recommendations. But if I can recommend one book on this topic, and I think this would be helpful based on the questions that you asked and the things that you said, it's by Victoria Law. It's called "Prisons Make Us Safer and 21 Other Myths." I would highly recommend this. If it's not something that like is affordable or accessible to you, just reach out to me and I can make it accessible. And I've done like outlines and lots of stuff. So, but I think this is kind of a critical first understanding. And I think it would help you a lot based on like your position where you are in learning. So yeah, if I can help with that, let me know. Feel free to reach out either on Discord or that. But I think that text would be really helpful.
All right, sounds good. All right, so last things. Love you, Santana. Love the community. Have a amazing night.
All right, thank you. You as well. Okay. If anyone else wanted to join the conversation, you can go ahead and request up. We're going to start getting more people in here in just a moment. Also, guys, if you'd like to support the live, if you enjoy what we do here on late nights, you want to keep it going, please consider donating. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, pay links and links are in the bio. Santana Speaks for You. Santana Speaks for You is the best way to support the live. If you're over on YouTube, you can send a super chat. I will read that out. But please, guys, make sure that we're taking care of Al. Abolitionist Al at the bottom of the screen is here. Our wonderful, wonderful co-host who is helping guide this conversation, who will be here all this week. Al, not only do we want to gift Al and make sure that we are following Al, but please, please, please check the link in the poll. Al has a GoFundMe for a very important initiative. So please, 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 if you can give anything to that initiative, please do so. Also, guys, the likes are moving like super slow. We are an hour and a half in and we're not even at 100,000 likes. Guys, tap the screen. Let's get the likes up immediately and also knock out the daily gift goal. Ari, you were about to add something. I'm going to give you the floor. And then I have something I want to play for everyone. And then I kind of want to get your thoughts and feedback on it.
Sorry, I hit the wrong button. Yeah, so what I wanted to add to that is as soon as Al said punishment, I was like, ding, 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 patriarchy. So if people don't know, and I'm going to give a shout out to Bell Hooks, love her books. If you read Ain't I a Woman? Is it Ain't I? No. Feminism's for Everybody. In her book, Feminism is for Everybody, she talks about how children are oppressed under patriarchal construct through spanking culture and punishment culture. Punishment culture is a tenet of patriarchy and the perpetuation of violence, right? So why gender abolition is necessary for abolishment of prisons are necessary, and they go hand in hand, is because of that repetition of cycles of violence. Violence is a tenet of the patriarchy in enacting that, and that spanking culture. So, and that's what prison is. It spanks you, like, don't do it. Just kidding. We're not giving you the conditions to actually address these issues. And then you recommit. So it's literally a repetition of patriarchy and patriarchal punishment.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. I think that's super interesting that it's like it's absolutely connected, but yeah. Go ahead, Noah.
This is somewhat related because when I had initially got into prison abolition, a lot of it was through the lens of like being anti like punitive justice and thinking about like things like transformative justice. My question, and maybe this is a stupid question, but I've been struggling with like trying to reconcile like militancy, which is something that I very much believe in, especially in like a revolutionary context, like reconciling militancy with transformative justice, right? Because, you know, as prisons exist today, I'm very anti-capital punishment. We know that, you know, Black people are the ones who are disproportionately exonerated and are also disproportionately subject to capital punishment, right? And I also recognize that like the violence imposed onto prisoners does nothing to actually like rehabilitate them. And so I guess like trying to reconcile that with the belief that like I do think some people just gotta go. Like I've studied revolutionary movements, and it's like it's a liability if you let people remain, or even if you exile them, that's a liability as well.
Absolutely. Okay. Sorry.
Wait, you're really, Santana, you're really low for me. I don't know if it's for everyone else.
There
you go.
Dropped the volume because I didn't want, because people make fun of me when never mind. Anyway, I'm going to play something, and a lot of people may or may not have heard this before. But there was a police officer on the entire premise of police being the good guys and, you know, protecting, and then speaking about the dynamic as far as what's happening. Wait, I'm sorry. Can someone answer Noah's question? I apologize. I didn't even realize. I had something threw me off. I apologize.
No, you
Al,
good.
Ari, Sean, either one of you would like to take a swipe at it?
I will say I struggled with a similar thing whenever I first found abolition. And actually, Sean was a big part of me realizing that some people just do have to get the wall. Like that's it. Sean will tell you I used to be very like I don't advocate for violence. Like I don't, and I still don't. I think that transformative and restorative justice are important, but I do think that like some people are a liability, and that's just the way that it is. And that the good, that the ultimate good that would come from, you know, losing those people is harm reduction. It's going to reduce the greater harm overall. And so it just doesn't feel good. I don't believe in the death penalty either, right? But I think for revolution, if we're talking about revolution to happen, that's just the way it is. And that's not a fun answer, and it's not you know, a happy one or even a clean cut one. But I think it's just kind of a shoulder shrug. Like it's just like what we have to do to get what we want, and that's it.
And I'll just add on, like I think that's kind of my stance as well. While I don't advocate for it, I'm very logical in a lot of the things that I think, and I'm very open. Trying to figure out the best way to say this. I guess the best way I can say it is, if anyone or anything stands in the way of revolution, when it's time for revolution, then no one or nothing is safe. So that's kind of how I feel about it. Ari, Sean, either one of you?
So I always find this, and I always say this, and I'm gonna be honest with y'all, okay? It is always femmes that are actually more ready for revolutionary violence than men. I'm gonna call it out. And I will say it's because we understand patriarchal violence, right? And we are subject to that patriarchal violence, right? As femme presenting people. And so when we recognize, like there was a recent study that was published at the beginning of April, right? Isolate, intimidate, inebriate. That's not the order of it, but if you look up isolate, intimidate, inebriate, repeat, it will show you the study. Men know the violence that they do. They are perfectly aware of coercive tactics that they're using to do violence onto non-men. They don't care. They don't care. And so when you come to those recognitions that they don't care about the violence they do onto you, yeah, get the wall. I do not care. I do not care. So that was a non-issue for me, right? When the only barrier for me was recognizing how pervasive patriarchal violence was. Once that clicked, once I read Men Who Hate Women, once I read New Age Sexism, and I read all these studies of masculinity, and that men know what they're doing, right? Like we like to pretend like, oh, they don't mean it. No, they know. They know. They know. They just don't care. Get the wall, right? In terms of revolution and in a transition state to revolution, I believe violence is absolutely a necessary condition, right? Especially when we're talking about femmes. I'm always talking about femmes, AFAB people protecting yourselves. Yeah, you're going to need to, because they're not going to protect you. And if it comes between you and them, I choose you existing, right? So take them out. And then because I don't believe in state violence, or at least I don't believe in state violence, especially this state's violence. And then as we move into a more communist state, that it won't be necessary. But as we're transitioning, yeah, it's a necessary condition to have violence.
Absolutely. Sean, anything you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, a few things. The first thing is that the implementation of, I just want to ask the panel. I know this is, I know the answer to this question, but I do this thing where I pretend not to know stuff so people can get the information. When it comes to police and prison abolition, are we looking to replace it with restorative and transformative justice? As in, are we looking to replace the punitive system with the restorative and transformative system?
I mean, sorry, go ahead, Santana.
No, I was about to say, if you need a second to think of that, you can take a second, because there's one quick thing that I wanted to say.
Go ahead, and then I'll answer.
Yeah. Hi, Harmony. How are you? I hope you are wonderful. One thing that I want to call out is in my space, my mods are an extension of me. So Harmony, this is the one time I'm going to say, please respect the mods. Please have respectful conversation back and forth. The community that we have here is one that we make sure that everyone not only feel included, but we have the ability to have multiple conversations. And when there is a restricted conversation that needs to happen, i.e. a community conversation, we are more than capable in being able to let people know that this is a community conversation and the conversations will be restricted to said community. Now, with that being said, I also want to call out the fact that we don't misgender people here. And if you don't know someone pronouns, that's very understandable. But once the pronouns are given, if someone is saying that these are their pronouns, if there's an issue with respecting the pronouns, then there's an issue with you being here. So just clearly want to lay that out. Take a moment to make sure those things are known. Hopefully you can continue to stay and be a part of the chat. But if, if anyone, not just you, and if anyone has an issue with those things, then you're more than welcome to go. Al, floor is yours.
Yeah, my hesitancy was only because I think I know where Sean's going with this. I just know her too well. But my only pushback with that is that one, don't like to advocate for replacements of our system because I don't think that's what abolition is about. And my other pushback would be to say replacing this system with a system of restorative and transformative justice, if you're including addressing poverty, if you're including, addressing material conditions and stuff like that in what you're calling restorative and transformative, then yes.
Yeah, that would be part of transformative justice. Restorative would be the advocation and the implementation of a system that allows for a person to be restored within it, repaired within it.
Yeah. Okay. Then yeah, sure.
A reparatory system, if you will. Yeah. So like, if we're looking at, as a matter of fact, let me ask Ari and Noah, are we looking to do that? Are we talking about that?
I keep hitting the wrong button. Gosh, dang it. Yes, as also if it comes with gender abolition as well, because of gender-based violence and how that's performed, that fills that address, and so addressing those issues are going to be a necessary condition.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Within a transformative justice system. Noah?
Yeah. No, I agree.
Okay, cool. I want to ask a question when it comes to the reconciliation of like militant action with a person being unalived for what we would call state-sanctioned violence as the death penalty today. I know you understand that there's a difference between state-sanctioned violence. State-sanctioned violence with a bourgeois state versus a state that like we would be leading in like a vanguard party. Correct? Like there would be There would be like two different types of capital punishments. That correct?
Correct.
Yeah, one
So
is seen as self-defense.
Yeah, I would ask a question. I would say, why wouldn't unaliving fascists and advocating for the violence towards people who are harmful towards especially marginalized demographics, why would that not fall into restorative justice processes?
Howdy, partner.
No, that's a great question. I mean, I guess it would. I guess my question would be like, do you think, and maybe this is already answered by like Marx and Lenin and them, but do you think that the need to maintain some type of apparatus, which would essentially be like a state apparatus, right, to kind of do this repression of like fascists or whatever in the example that you gave, like, do you think that would be something that would be ongoing, or do you think that it would come to a point where it would no longer be necessary?
I would say that I think it would come to a point that would no longer be necessary. But
okay.
Do you think that's optimistic?
No, I mean, you know, I'm a Marxist-Leninist. I rock with Lenin and what he believes about, like, well, Engels, Marx, all of them, what they believe about the like withering away of the state and the fact that a revolution would dismantle the bourgeois state, and what would be in place would be something radically different from, you know, a bourgeois state. Like it almost wouldn't be recognizable as a state, right? Is what Engels says. So,
because that's oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you got it.
All I was going to say, that's what I have always seen the violence of the Marxist state, the revolutionary state, if you're any kind of leftist anarchist factions, whatever it is you want to call them. But that's what I've always seen like leftist movements as, is the self-defense against the violence that we already face, obviously. And so these things of like capital punishments towards people who harm marginalized demographics is just the self-defense mechanisms that we utilize in order to keep marginalized people safe. It is the restorative system where, like, for me, I know I don't want fascists to be alive at all. I don't care about the respectability politics of people saying we need to listen to both sides. I am very, very Stalinist in that way. I know Stalinist isn't a real word, but I'm using that word anyway, because what Stalin had said is absolutely true. Ideas are more dangerous than firearms, and we wouldn't allow our enemies to have firearms. So why would I allow them to have ideas?
Facts. What about the Holodomor, though?
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Can I
Good Lord.
I just want to highlight, like, this is like a clear cut difference also, like, between nationalism for fascism and nationalism for liberation. And so the language around these topics are very important for what's happening, right? We're talking about people liberating themselves and people trying to maintain a fascist state, right? So, like, the current United States structure is for the maintenance of a fascist state, for the maintenance of white supremacy. So I'm just gonna keep it blunt for you. If you're in the chat and if you're for reform of the police state, or you are for the police state, you're just for the maintenance of white supremacy. Let's call a spade, right? And if you are against people fighting back against that state, you're still advocating for the white supremacist state. There's a difference between violence for liberating oneself. Like, you would not tell people in chattel slavery, right, to not fight against their slave masters, right? So when you're telling us not to fight against the police, right, that's what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
You're maintaining that.
Yeah. I know we're kind of getting low on time, but I do want to play this because I really want to get everyone's feedback on this, and because some people may or may not have heard this, and it's a sound from a police officer in Houston, and the police officer in Houston was off duty, and the police officer, well, let's just listen.
The amount of times that I will always and forever say that I fucking hate niggers. Oh my god, I fucking hate niggers. Like, I hate y'all. Like, you, like, I don't oh, we were slaves this entire, I don't give a but like, for a reason you guys were slaves. You guys don't know anything better than to steal. Like, oh my god, like, I was literally eating food with my friend. He had his, oh my god, like, I don't know, por Dios, por gracias de Dios, I had my wallet next to me, like my whole purse, and those like that little small shit decided not to steal my wallet. Oh my god, I would have grabbed my heel and like whoop the out of that nigga. But like, whatever, right? But no or nothing. Y'all don't know how good it felt to say like out loud, like goddamn, like, oh my god, I felt like I was back in the Marine Corps. Like, I kid you not, I don't know what the fuck came over me. I grabbed that by the neck and I was like, come here, you fucking, and oh my god, like, I felt like the world just stopped. Like, it was just peace. Like, like, I don't know. And then he was just like even I in my head, I was like, damn, te pasaste, because I called him a dog. Like, imagine if downtown were there, they could have beaten my ass. And then he like stops like, you did not just call me a I was like, you're a I was like, oh my god, like, you're a and I called you a like, world peace. And I was like, what are you gonna possibly say? Like, are you gonna call 911 because I called you a no, right? Oh my god, I don't know. This didn't record, but it was like, I'm kind of glad it didn't record, because it was like me expressing how much I hated black people after this. Like, dog, like, let me get a black person on a 911 call tomorrow, especially. You're going to jail. I don't give a you're getting treated like a bunch of shit. The amount of times that.
So for anyone who hasn't heard that, that was a Houston police officer, and the most interesting part for me came at the end, where she talked about how if she gets a 911 call tomorrow with a black person, they're going to jail. And it speaks to the fact that I talked about how, yes, that was a police officer. That was, yes, it was a Latino woman. She's absolutely white. But she talked of, like, that was her saying all of those things. But again, while the hard R's, the way that she was spamming the hard R wasn't shocking to me, but the interesting part was the connection of if I get a 911 call tomorrow with a black person, they're going to jail. I don't care what they do, they're going to jail. And it goes back to the point that I highlighted as far as like the way that I personally have never had any type of sense of peace or calm whenever seeing a police officer, even while I'm doing nothing to break the law, and I'm doing nothing to cause any type of negative reaction from the police officer. These things exist where I could be existing as a black person and either make a 911 call for myself, or someone calls 911 on me because, you know, they do that. And this person shows up with the predetermined notion that, oh, if it's a black person, they're going to jail. So, Al, I'm going to start with you. How can the idea of a police officer, how could anyone think that a police officer should be the good people to keep us safe when, yes, I understand police officers are human are fallible, but this is a mindset that is rampant throughout the police force because of the creation of the police and how they have been weaponized. How do we make that happen?
How do we make what happen?
How do we make the connection and actually look at them as like keeping us safe?
Are you saying how do we do it in the future, or how do
No,
how do we do it currently?
Like, it's kind of facetious. I know we can't. I mean,
Okay,
sorry. It was facetious. It was
yeah, no,
facetious.
I mean, I think this really goes back to my point earlier, and I wanted to touch on it whenever Blue Barbie mentioned it. But it's the myth that there are bad apples, like there's some good police and there's some bad police. Because I think if we talk about the recording you just played, someone would say that's a bad police officer, right? That's one of the bad apples, right? But she does the same job as someone that you might say is a good apple or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
you know? They're both required to do the same job. One's just, I guess, you know, doing more harm than the other. And using their personal views, but either way, they still legally are required to oppress. And so, but that's how people. I guess my point is that's how people get to like where they say like, well, police ultimately keep us safe because those are just a few bad apples. Mm-hmm. And that's just how they get through it.
Yeah. Ari, what are your thoughts on that?
I'm sorry, can you restate the question?
Oh, I was just saying, what were your thoughts on what I played?
All cops are pigs. Class traders. One, again, things don't happen out of a vacuum, right? Things don't happen. Like, I think it's really silly when people like, oh, people steal just because. No. Things don't happen just because. Things happen for a reason, and those reasons are never addressed. People steal because of poverty, right? Unless you're a white woman, you're just stealing because of privilege, but that's still a reason, right? Most likely. But people, there's reasons for these, right? And no one ever wants to address the reasons. And to Al's point, they're all doing the same job. They're all serving them. Like they're like how I argue on my panel. There is no such thing as a good man because they all men and masculinity stand for the maintenance of patriarchal violence. All cops stand for the maintenance of a white supremacist structure and punching down on poor and marginalized identities. That's it. That's all they stand for. So there's no such thing as a good cop because maybe the one next to her is not saying the N-word like that, but they're still performing the same outcomes and providing the same outcomes. A good cop doesn't exist.
Okay. Noah, what about you?
Yeah, that video is something else. That clip, it kind of reminds me of where I grew up, because I grew up in Southern California. So the mestizas and the mestizos beyond one with the anti-blackness. So that was not surprising. And her being a cop compounded it. Like mestizo, mestiza, cop. I know their favorite word starts with N. Like that's a given. I think what's scary about this is like we hear these things come out, you know what I'm saying? And it's obviously terrible. What scares me about like white supremacy and anti-blackness in general is how much of it is like not explicitly expressed in this way and sort of goes under the radar, and specifically like what's in the unconscious. This is why like I'm a huge Fanon fan who's like a psychoanalyst, because, you know, psychoanalysts look at the unconscious specifically. So he identified like the ways that there was this sort of white collective unconscious that emerged out of colonialism and anti-blackness and racism. And so like, I think we need to sort of confront these things, right? When we're talking about the anti-blackness of the police force, like it's systemic, of course, but it's also like upheld by people who, you know, are, you know, subject to this ideology of anti-blackness and white supremacy.
Mm. Mm. Okay. Sean, what about you?
So I'm finding it because there's been a whole thing of I understand that like when it comes to white people, white Latino people, there is an element of obviously just straight out racism, especially towards Black people. I'm trying to formulate my words so that it doesn't seem as though I'm affirming things that like people would say, even though I don't know if people would take it this way. I just have to like go through and figure out if people will take it in a way that would affirm things like xenophobic rhetoric that some people have been talking about within the Black community. If you know, you know. But yeah, this is like when it comes to like authority figures, especially in the way that they view Black people. In general, there is, and has always been, since its inception, like this thought process of Black people being less than. And we can obviously very clearly hear this. Like, this is not a surprise. I had actually heard this before you had played it. But like it is, for anyone who was hearing it the first time, when I heard it the first time, I was like, oh yeah, this is like a normal thing. Police talk about.
Did you hear how it said like the entire rant? The only thing that I was like, oh, that's interesting, was the very last part. That was the only thing that, and not that she actually said it, but she was willing to admit it. That was the only interesting thing for that entire rant. But sorry, go ahead.
No, yeah. It's not for at least for me, it wasn't really like a surprising thing. But these are the kinds of things where people tend to say, you know, it's just one bad apple, because they don't want to believe that like most authority figures and most people in general, when I say authority figures, I mean anyone with any kind of like racialized privilege, especially white people, think of Black people this way. And so when they become police officers, when they become bosses, when they become whatever you can think that has any kind of power over Black people, this is how they speak about us behind closed doors. It's the whole like what was it? Lee Atwater. The whole Lee Atwater thing, where you can say, you can say N-word, and then you can't say that anymore, and so you start doing that behind the scenes. But the practices that she talked about are exactly those practices that he talked about. Like Black people get hurt worse with these policies and these practices. And they know that it happens, but it makes it hard to prove. I was telling someone the other day, like certain things, especially in the United States under liberalism, just made racism harder to prove by law. So that's just what it is. It's the result of systemic racism. I have a question kind of about this thing when it comes to police in particular, but just let me know when I can ask it.
No, go ahead, because it's just about t-shirt time. So you go ahead and throw it out there.
Yeah, so I have a question for Al, if I may ask the question. When it comes to police and prison abolition, one of the big things I talk about whenever I'm on like Santana's panel, and he gives me the floor to talk about it a lot, which I really do appreciate, is military abolition. And I wanted to ask you about like the importance of like demilitarization. I don't know anything about police and prison abolition. So is there any correlation here with like demilitarization and police and prison abolition?
First of all, I don't know why you're saying you don't know anything about abolition. You're being
I don't.
so
I have
silly
no
tonight.
idea. I've never heard of this before.
Yeah, there definitely is. I mean, if we think about the military industrial complex, not just the way that that like prisons fund it, for instance, but also the way that we use the military industrial complex to justify violence for feelings of safety, kind of with national security, right? We do the same thing with police. So police and prisons. So we think that we need those things to feel safe, or we do use those things to feel safe, and so then we use that to justify the violence, the white supremacy, all of that. So yeah, I think with the abolition of police and prisons also has to come the abolition of the military-industrial complex. Yeah.
I just want to say, I love how Sean like takes advantage of things here, knowing that I won't stop her. Like, that's just, you are not a good friend sometimes, Sean, but whatever.
What? What? What did I do?
Oh man,
I'm trying to get information to the people.
Sure you are. Sure you are. No, that's actually a good question and a great answer. So really quick, I'm going to say a couple of quick thank yous, and then I kind of want to spin it around the horn and get some final thoughts, and then set the tempo for the rest of the week. W's in the chat for Brookie for the $1 donation, saying I appreciate you. I appreciate you more. Thank you. W's in the chat for Josh. And now listen, this is something that I've been absolutely every single time I get the opportunity to say this, I spam this. W's in the chat for Josh. Josh in a $10 donation said, all hail Sean for president. I'm telling you now, we should elect Sean as our president. I am with it. I support it. And I endorse it. And Noah would vote for. So there's that.
Whoa, wait. Wait a minute. I've been catching strays. Like the liberals calling me liberals now. This is crazy.
No, that's because you hang out with actually all night. Noah has caught a lot of like from the very beginning.
Noah, listen, Noah starts so much trouble in this space at all times. Noah should not know peace. So whatever. Like every time. Holy smokes. W's in chat for Sanji, who sent a $1 donation saying this subject feels especially important right now in Australia after a little indigenous girl was abducted and unalive. I've been wrestling with what justice would even look like and how or whether we should integrate mob lore into our system. You guys know anything about mob lore? What is that? No?
I've never heard that. Not that term, anyways.
Yeah, I might have to look it up. I don't know what mob lore is. That was in chat. Thank you so much for that donation. That was in chat for all the donos. I'm gonna have to look that up, and I think it is maybe like vigilante. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah, I'll look it up. That was in the chat for all the donos, guys. one more shout out for this point though, guys. If you take a look at the poll, we have Al's GoFundMe in the poll. Super important. Al is going to be here with us all week and doing a lot of heavy lifting. So make sure we're showing Al all the love in the world. As a matter of fact, Al should be at least, Al's not even at 2,000 coins yet. Can we please show Al some love, get Al above 2,000 coins, hit the follow button. But more than anything, if you can do anything at all, if you can spare anything at all, check the poll. Al has a GoFundMe in the poll for a very, very amazing cause. It's so necessary. It's so needed. So please show Al some love. What up, Swan? That was in the chat for Swan. If we could show Al some love, especially throughout this week, because she's going to be doing a lot of heavy lifting for us. That was in the chat for Tess as well. All right. So I'm going to go start from the top and go to the bottom. And I just want to run through really quickly and find out, one, why do you guys think this is an important topic? And two, what do you think that we need to make sure that we talk about this week that we haven't talked about? So Sean, starting with you.
You said, why is this an important topic and what have we not talked about that we think, I think we should?
Yes. Why is this an important topic and what's something that I guess is something we need to make sure we end up talking about this week?
Yeah. So, I'm gonna try to get my breath on here, but anyway, I think this is an important topic because it is a necessity of, especially leftists. Like I'm a Marxist. It is a necessity of leftism, period, regardless of what kind of leftist you are, to be an abolitionist and to abolish police and prisons and the bourgeois state apparatus that we have, creating sociological paradigms, feeding like marginalized people into free and cheap labor. When it comes to the state power over us, especially domestically, that is the police. They are the militarization of the streets within the nation that like they run. When it comes to basically any type of person who wants to get rid of marginalization, this is a necessity for you, police and prison abolition. If you're for reform, then you are just for changing the way that white supremacy functions, changing the way that patriarchy functions, changing the way that homophobia functions, et cetera, et cetera. You get what I'm saying? So one of the things that I think we need to talk about at one point in time, though, I actually talked to my brother about this a little bit earlier, and I was talking to my other brother about this yesterday, habeas corpus, and how within these systems, like, certain things, well, that's not true. I was going to say certain things within these systems are allowed to slide. That's not true. But in the current system, certain things are allowed to slide, and people tend to be either apathetic or sympathetic towards it. That I don't think should be. I don't think they should let that slide. Centrist behavior, I don't think it should be able to slide. I think if you're not like a full-blown hardcore leftist, it is the wall for you, honestly. And I need to be I think we need to talk about it in the way that the habeas corpus would work for like those decisions that we make about people when it comes to that capital punishment that we would distribute as marginalized groups. But that's about it for me.
Okay. Yeah. I heard that conversation earlier, and I'm not against it. Noah, what about you? Why do you think this conversation is important, and what do we need to make sure we talk about?
Yeah, I was thinking about two things. One of them is like an aspect of prison abolition that I don't feel like we really got into too much today, but is a big reason as to why I identify with prison abolition, which is like, how do we center victims when harm is caused? Because I think that's the question that like prison abolitionists ask, but people who go up for prisons don't, because prisons are so preoccupied with like, how do we punish the perpetrators of crime rather than, developing and attending to, the victims of said crime or harm or whatever. And the other thing I was thinking about is also just interrogating criminality. I feel like criminality is something that people sort of take for granted. And and I don't think it's something that is very coherent, nor is it something that like I think we should be like using or going up for uncritically. I hear this a lot. For instance, like you probably hear this a lot in political debates that you do when folks talk about immigration and they talk about, well, this type of deportation is good because they were deporting criminals. I'm like, what are we talking when we're talking about criminals? Because there's countless crimes that I don't care about at all. Like so many things that are designated as crimes that I don't care about. And there's also so much violation of like international law, for instance, by, US politicians that, don't get prosecuted or whatever, or aren't conceived of as criminals, right?
Well, the one that I call out all the time is there's like, well, what about Barack Obama? I'm like, no, F what he did too. Like that,
See, I'm blessed. I'm blessed to not be a liberal or a Democrat because I don't have to do apologia for Obama. Definitely fuck him.
You can't say that word on late nights.
Oh, my bad.
Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. I think that was it. Yeah, those two things. I think we need to think hard about criminality. To me, it's analogous to like terrorism, the way people use that word to describe like armed resistance groups. It just feels like really lazy. Yeah.
Okay. Ari, what about you? Why do you think this conversation or this topic is so important? And what do we need to make sure that we talk about this week?
It's a necessary conversation for liberation, right? If you want to be liberated in any way, shape, or form, then we have to talk about the state that doesn't allow for liberation to happen, which is the police state that we live under. I think Sean and Noah have hit on really important parts, especially with Noah with criminality. I want to extend that to what are the causes of those crimes, especially because a lot of times when I hear people talk about, again, most crimes are crimes of poverty. And I do think a lot of times also gender performance gets negated in that conversation as well. And I think that's really important to the conversation of those acts, right? What's the difference between women doing crime? What's the difference between men doing crime? How are those crimes looked at? And things like that. So we can actually get to the bottom end of these issues and actually address them wholeheartedly for abolition, for complete abolition. Because what the goal is too is for liberation completely from white supremacy, right? That's the overall goal. So if we want to talk about liberation from white supremacy, all those things need to be taken into account.
I could not agree more. Ari, really quick, two things. Number one, are you losing your voice?
No, my sister's visiting from Florida and she's sleeping.
Oh, okay. Cool. Number two, I just thought about this because I learned this from you, and so I figured I would tell you first. But tomorrow is going to be a new topic and background and everything on sparring. And would you like to know what's one of the points that's going to be up for debate?
I would love to.
Hold on.
Talking to men about consent. Talking to everybody about consent is so important. Absolutely.
Men don't understand consent. Oh, we're gonna that's gonna be interesting. But I just thought about that because like I said, I appreciate you putting me on game. And yeah, so anyway, perfect. Al, what about you? I actually kind of a different question for you. Understanding that like this is your brainchild as far as this conversation, you brought this to me and I was like, let's effing go, right? And I think it's important for late nights because of what we try to do on late nights, how we try to have like important conversations and not just educate people and give people a voice, but more so try to ensure that people are getting to the root of like some really big topics, or not even getting to the root, because that would be kind of like, hubris of me to think that, oh, like late nights is super profound, but it's at least, in my opinion, it's a fire starter. It grabs people attention and it makes them want to figure out things and go from there. And one thing that I love about having the panel is the amount of people that we can have on that really can either guide the conversation or move the conversation forward or help someone else with the conversation. So the question I have for you, Al, is not why is this important, but what are you hoping to gain from sharing this topic and your passion with the people on Late Nights this week?
That's such a big question. I think, like you mentioned, a fire starter, because I think once people have even just like a foot or a big toe in the door of abolition, they're like, oh, wow, this actually kind of makes sense for everyone, including me. And so I think that's what I want, is I want people to not be so afraid of the word abolition, not be so afraid of, have a basic understanding of what abolition means, because I don't expect everyone to be as for the wall as I am and my friends on this panel are. But it's kind of like that, like shoot for the moon and land amongst the stars or whatever. If I can convince 30 more people that police are oppressive and we need to defund or abolish, then I feel like I've done some work and put that little nugget in their head. And realistically, I think after that, it's not far to abolition, because it's just soundproof there. So that's what I hope to accomplish. And I think, just as Ari said so perfectly, it's necessary for liberation. So
what's the one thing that we didn't talk about tonight that you're the most excited to talk about this week?
Probably, I actually am going to go with one of Noah's answers, which is centering victims, because I think that often gets lost, not only in our current system, but in conversations about abolition. It's always a question of like, what do we do about, the R-worders and the unalivers? It's never like, what do we do for people who are harmed? Even when we're having a conversation about abolition. And so I think that's probably what I'm looking forward to. Yeah.
I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to be really good. Speaking of really good, Debbie's in the chat for Susan. Susan sent a $20 donation, said for Al. I will get that over to Al. But guys, please remember, if you're going to support, please go check out Al's GFM, which is in the poll that we currently have. We're going to be running that all week, and it's something that is super, super important. So yeah, if you guys have to send something, sure, fine, but please go check out the link that's in the poll. That's so very important, and we want to make sure we can show as much love as possible to Al all week as we go through this topic. Now, with that being said, this is night one. We will be back tomorrow night at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. For night two, we will open up the conversation more. If you did not get an opportunity to join the conversation, then please come back and we will get you up on the panel, and we will continue to develop this out throughout the rest of the week, gearing up to, you guys know what we do on Late Nights, the last night, which is the action, the why behind what we do. So kind of want to end here. Sean, Noah, Ari, Al, you guys want to do the outro with me?
Sure.
Yeah, I'm be hooting and hollering.
I almost kicked you, Noah, just so you couldn't do it.
Can I sing louder than everybody else?
No, you cannot. This is my theme song.
Yeah, this ain't your regular panel. Nah, we speak the truth. Late Nights with Santana and Mama Jones watching. Better keep it clean. Let's go! Late Nights truth in the convo. Everybody get a seat at the table. From the block to the books, we mindful. No screaming, just dreams in the Bible. One mic, one voice, we build bridges from the heart of the hood to the world's big issues. Politics, pay, different cultures, but the real ones listen before they rebuttal. Late nights with Santana, yeah. Mama Jones watching, so keep it grown. Ain't about flexing, it's the purpose zone. Santana hold it steady when it might get hot, but we ain't here to fight, we here to connect the dots. Yeah, late nights with Santana.
Guys, it was first and foremost, it was absolutely amazing to be back. I miss you guys. I really enjoyed being able to spend this time and get substance out of what we do, and hopefully you all got something from it as well. This week is going to be a week that challenges the way that people think. It's going to be uncomfortable in a lot of different ways because people have this whole idea of justice and police and prison and all this, and we're going to look to dismantle that all week. And with the help of Al, I have faith in it. So, come back tomorrow. Come back tomorrow. Let's do this again. Let's figure it out together. 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific, Late Nights with Santana with my special co-host all week, Abolitionist Al. Guys, thank you for being here. Thank you for everything. Thank you for the amount of love and support that you guys showed. Thank you for everything. Thank you for all the love, the gifts, the taps, the shares, the likes. Thank you for being you. Thank you for being here with us, and everybody on the panel. Come off mute for me and say it with me. And as always,